So we started our farm back in 2017. We started in Springbrook and we moved our farm to another space for about 2 years. I met Jody just through my company and her company. We just came together and started talking, and I had let her know that I was looking for a new space to move our farm because we decided to move into an RV, and the place that we currently were at, we no longer could be at if we were moving out of the house. Jody offered to go to share a space together here at Blue Collar Garage, which has been working really great because we both work really well together. I think it's been about 1.5 years now we've been here. We moved in February 22, yeah, and set up the farm, and we've had to go through a lot of different adjustments, but it's worked out really well to work with Jody here for the last 1.5 years. My name is Lindsay Beaulieu. I am a Métis entrepreneur and the co-founder of Love MicroGreens Urban Farm and Eatery located in Red Deer, Alberta. We started with just microgreens, but we noticed we had to innovate and make salads and our dressings to help educate and sell what we were doing. We have a year-round kitchen and a health inspected farm. So we're located in the Gasoline Alley Farmers Market, where I cook and prepare fresh dishes for our market at the Gasoline Alley Market. So we grow microgreens, which most people are like, what are microgreens? They are young plants, just so everyone's aware of sprouts. And then microgreens are 8 to 10 days old. We grow in a soil medium. So they are just more nutritious, more flavor dense, and they have up to 40 times more nutrition than their adult counterparts. So a broccoli microgreen has 40 times the nutrition than a full-grown broccoli, but it tastes just like fresh broccoli out of the garden. And same with like radish. Radish has this nice peppery flavor, but it just carries more nutrition in it. So today I'm at my farm and we start with our seeding for our next week. So with microgreens, they are 8 days old where we harvest. So I have to start seeding the beginning of the week in order for next Tuesday's deliveries. Today we start with soil. And filling the trays with the soil. You have to make sure it's flat in order to get an even seed. Bring that to our seeding. So we go through soil. And then I have to measure out seeds per tray. Our radish. Wade will just spray the trays just to get a nice, so the seeds will stick. And then we just evenly seed each tray. And I do another set of water. And we stack the trays. top them and we leave them in germination for about 4 days. And so every day I come and water once a day, and then they get put out onto the tray where we have peas that are out for about 4 days now, and the rest of these will be harvested tomorrow. This is our broccoli. So once they hit about 8 days old, we'll take them over to the harvest. Good job, buddy. Good job. So harvesting. Then we package them up and get them to my wholesale stores. We are with Nutters Red Deer, Steel Pony Farms. We supply them with their weekly CSA boxes. Pure Earth Organics, which is an organic market in Red Deer. And then I have all my cafes and restaurants that I supply, like Hash and Forno, 111, the Crow up in Ponoka, and a few cafes in Lacombe, and a few cafes in town too that use my microgreens just to top their salads. Today we're at the market and we are making some bannock. My mom's come in to help us. It's one of those, she's learned a lot from her elders how to make a good bannock. In our culture, food is what brings people together. Bannock brings a lot of people together. And we even have a place where people are, it's a friendly competition of who makes the best bannock. My mom's won a couple competitions with her bannock.
So Lindsay has a business here at the Gasoline Alley Farmers Market. She's been here just about 3 years. And occasionally she's asked me to, on special events, to come in and make bannock, or otherwise called fry bread. It's definitely a indigenous food, and everybody seems to like my fry bread. I've learned from an elder here in Red Deer. She taught me how to make the fry bread, and I will make it maybe once a month, either for myself and my partner, or I will come here, and I've made it a few times, and it seems like the whole market can't wait until I come here to make it. So it is definitely an indigenous comfort food is what it is. So when people say, oh, you're making fry bread, they're like, yay, it brings them back to their culture, and they can see themselves eating the fry bread with jam usually. People can eat it with butter or whatever you want, but it definitely is a comfort food, and it's something that people like to experience and eat. And I'm always interested when other cultures eat it, because I want to see if they can figure out if it's something from their culture that's similar, because everybody kind of has something special that their parents made when they were a kid. And I remember when I met my grandmother, my biological grandma, when I was about 20, she was famous for making the baked bannock in the oven. And so I was able to meet her because I was a foster child. I didn't know anything about her bannock until I was about 20-some years old. And she made it for us, and it was heavenly. It was amazing. I don't make the baked bannock, but I will one day, and I'm hoping I'm as good as she is. But everybody is, there's always there's so many different ways of making bannock. And when people say they like mine, that makes me feel good, about my Métis culture. It's really, really a simple recipe. It's flour. I use milk. Some people use water. I add an egg. Some people don't use egg, and it's just and a little bit of sugar, salt, oil, and you mix it together. But you don't want to overdo or over mix the dough, because then it becomes really tough and hard. So you want to be very careful. It's how you roll it with your hands with your hands the consistency. Otherwise, it'll be too tough. And then you just deep fry it, and it's made. Hi, my name is Myrtle Beaulieu. I am a regional manager for Rupert Sand Institute in Coal Lake, and Lindsay Beaulieu is my daughter. She is the second oldest of 4 daughters. I am a Métis woman. I was born in Buffalo Narrows, Saskatchewan, in a Métis community, and I have not known my culture for very long. I knew that I was always Métis. However, I never lived that culture until I was in my 30s. My life was a little bit different. Our biologic family, and that's what I call my biologic family because I didn't grow up with them. We had moved around in northern Saskatchewan from community to community, and my mother was an alcoholic. So she wasn't able to take care of us, and she didn't take care of us at all. Our dad tried to take care of us as best as he could, but there was, well, altogether now there's like 12 children, but at that time I think there was about 7 of us that he tried to take care of while he worked. And I know, being the oldest daughter, I was remembering, changing diapers even as a small child and trying to take care of my younger siblings, which was very hard. And so somehow social services must have figured out that we weren't being cared for, so we were taken away. I remember a big car came along to our house, and a couple ladies came, and they said we were going to go on a car ride. And I was excited because we didn't really go anywhere, right? Like in cars. So it was exciting to get into a big car with these ladies and go off. It was a long trip, probably about 4-hour trip that we went on. And we ended up in a receiving home, foster home. And I remember the foster home, because our skin was darker, some of my siblings have darker skin than me, and their knees and their elbows were darker. And I remember they wanted to bath us first of all, and they were trying to scrub off the color of their skin almost, and it was red. And I remember my little brothers crying, and I was so upset because I was the oldest sister, and I was like, well, what are you doing, So it was fearful, yet I don't know, I don't remember, it's being a child, you don't remember the trauma around it. You just want to protect your siblings, right? And so we stayed in this receiving home for a while until they found a permanent foster home for us. The permanent foster home was on a farm, and the woman already had 10 kids. So back then in the 60s, social services didn't limit how many children a family could have and then take on 6, 7 more children. So there was about 16 or 17 of us, and it was not a good home. We were, mostly me, because I guess I was oldest, and maybe subconsciously took the beatings that incurred. If I took them, then maybe the mom would stay away from the younger siblings. And I remember they took my sister Carol and I first, and we had to say goodbye to all of our younger siblings, not knowing if we would ever see them again. And it took a long time to see them again. Many years. But, we ended up in a really good foster home, Carol and I. And a lot of the other family was adopted out, and they had a good family too. But we lost so much. We lost a lot. Our culture, our, just family, having family. I am so grateful that I was fostered with my younger sister. At least I had somebody that looked like me, that was part of me. And we could talk about, I remember laying in bed and Carol and I would talk about our lives before fostering and, how our dad did this, or our family, or Christmas events, back home. When I got sick, because I was a sickly child, she would tell me about those stories. So we kept those stories alive for quite a long time. Come to think of it, we haven't talked about those for a while. But for the first while, that's what we talked about, because that connected us with our family and our home. Lindsay is doing her microgreens, and she's pretty unique. She's a Métis woman, and she brings in her Métis culture into her microgreens, as well as she is very much an advocate for mental health. And the reason why is her dad committed suicide in 2014. My husband was an amazing man. He was a good provider for his family. He was a power engineer, a very smart man, brilliant man. And I never really noticed anything out of the ordinary with his mental health at first, when we first got married. We were together since we were 15. I think mental health has always been something that has been important to me, because I've worked with many people who have been suicidal. I take care of my mental health by eating properly. Like, I wish Lindsay lived closer, because she has the microgreens and they taste so good and they're so good for you. They do a multitude of different fix different ailments. And so, if she lived closer, I'd probably be eating them every day. I've got to get her to get me to grow them where I'm at. So, but yeah, and also I love walking, and that's just keeps me kind of grounded too. When I'm out in nature and walking or hiking, I love stuff like that. When I can, I love to go out and kayak or in a canoe. I love being out in nature, because I think then we're closer to Creator at that time. So that's how I take care of my mental health. So the message I have around mental health is we need to talk about it. We need to be able to not be afraid, not silence people because they have mental health issues. I believe to this day that the silence killed my husband. If he was able to talk about it freely, I believe he'd still be here today. So don't have the silence. Let us talk about it. Let's be open about it. And don't look down on people who may have some mental health issues. Talk to them. Listen, and let them talk to you.
So I'm here today doing a podcast with the female entrepreneurs in agri-food development, which was formerly the Be Awesome program that I took in cohort 3.
Ready? I can start.
Yep.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Hello, foodpreneurs and dreamers. Welcome to another empowering episode of the Friends of Cities podcast. A remarkable founder whose journey in the food industry is both inspiring and heartwarming. Join me in welcoming Lindsay, the visionary force behind I Love MicroGreens, a family-owned business that bloomed into something truly extraordinary. Microgreens, as she passionately reminds us, are not just greens. They are nature's powerhouse of nutrients and flavors, packed with health benefits that can transform lives.
I lost my dad to suicide almost 10 years ago, and I was on this own personal journey of grief recovery. And also during the recession of 2016 in Alberta, it was really hard to find work. So I started working on organic farms, and those organic farms kind of led me to this. It gave me a lot of passion, and it was very healing to be working on farms, to know that you're producing this food to feed a family. And it was that kind of started this, ignited this want and need to grow food. Because we don't have land, I tried to look into indoor farming, and we came across microgreens, and we're like, well, we can do that. So coming from the farming background, I knew all the steps that I had to do in order to get into grocery stores. So I knew I had to find a space that was health inspected and able to grow, that was separate from our home. So we went out to our community and asked if anyone had a space. Nobody knew what we were doing 6 years ago. Microgreens was still quite a new concept. So a lot of people welcomed us in, and we found a space to rent for very cheap. So it gave us that ability to research and trial and error and figure out our way with the microgreens, and getting our setup set to what would work and what would grow best for us. And then we met our first grocery store, and we were really successful with them. And they actually we've been with them for 5 years, and they're a local organic grocery store here in Red Deer. And about a year into our growing, we decided, well, we need to do more than just microgreens. We have to do salads. And so we use local farmers' ingredients and organic ingredients to make these salads. And then a few of our grocery stores, like Pure Earth Organics and Nutters, they started taking our easy to go vegetable salads, and they started selling quite well. So we're still that's 4 years into growing salads. This journey of I could have went the opposite way and just felt really sorry for myself and think bad things just happened to me. But I was like, for me, I took the loss of my dad and realized he wouldn't want me to be sad. He wouldn't want me. He was my number one cheerleader when he was here on. And so I always try to make him proud and make my mom proud. And in the Indigenous communities, we do struggle with a lot of loss from suicide. And because I think we just have to be more self-aware, and we have to have those role models that show us that through adversity, we can bring something beautiful to the world. There's not many Indigenous farmers, and this is one thing that I want to inspire more Indigenous people to get into growing food. Food is what brings everyone together. Food in every culture, we can I can meet somebody else from a different culture, and we bond over their food, through Indian or through Filipino or anything. I've always made friends because we talk about what their favorite food is growing up, so that's just what I think food is healing. So, a lot of people say never give up, but I always say trust that journey. You're not going to be perfect the first time you do something, and to take those failures as those learning steps and your journey might change halfway through, and just to be happy with where you're going and just trust it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. It was great to talk to you, and I'm very happy to also get to know you. Stay strong and stay positive. I'm sure you will rock it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.